Welcome to Stevie's World UK. Today we are in Yeovilton in Ilchester. So today the Royal Navy Fleet Air Museum is part of my world. The Fleet Air Arm Museum is located on RNAS Yeovilton airfield. It is located 7 miles north of Yeovil and 40 miles south of Bristol. As before, I will put a link to the website in the description below so you can check out the details for yourselves. The museum's main display is divided into 4 areas, so let's take a look. In 1963, members of the public were allowed to view flying activities on the airfield. 1 year later, the Fleet Air Arm Museum, housed in a single hangar, was opened by His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh. The Fleet Air Arm is the flying arm of the Royal Navy. It has been delivering tactical Navy air power around the world since the earliest days of flying aircraft, serving from modified merchant ships through to today's mighty aircraft carriers. It began with just 3 aircraft, but over the years has grown into a nationally significant collection of over 100 airframes and many thousands of artifacts, photos and archives. The first hall contains a display about the development of naval aviation, from the early days of airships and fabric-covered wooden biplanes to modern jet aircraft and helicopters. In 2015, the Fleet Air Museum marked the 100th anniversary of the first use of an aircraft for a combat search and rescue mission. The second hall that we come across is mainly devoted to the Second World War, with a side room containing the kamikaze exhibit. Throughout the museum, there are also exhibits devoted to the Fleet Air Arm people. One of these is Lieutenant Claire Donegan, who when she qualified became the Royal Navy's first female Sea King pilot. The earliest aircraft carrying ships in the First World War were converted merchant vessels. Today we find a model of HMS Indomitable. Built before the Second World War, she had an armoured deck of 3-inch steel. Today's jet fighter pilots wear high-tech G-suits to enable their bodies to cope with the G-force. During the Second World War, the aircrew working in the open cockpit would put on special clothing to protect them from the cold, such as this leather suit.
Now the Skewer, which it was the first dive bomber designed for the fleet arm, and it was a Skewer aircraft from HMS Ark Royal, which shot down the first German aircraft in World War II. It had shot down a Columbia. Skewers sank the German cruiser. The raid started to be in April 1940 in Norway. We crossed the coast. The three aircraft I was leading at about 11,000 feet when suddenly my observer
As you come to the end of Hall 2, there is a viewing area where visitors can watch military aircraft, especially helicopters, take off and land, and today we can see it in all winds and weathers. Here in this area, you may also get the chance of seeing aircraft being prepared for takeoff and work and maintenance being completed. By the entrance to Hall 3 there is a collection of models of British aircraft carriers, illustrating the history of aircraft carrier design. Instead of a traditional museum hall, this area has been converted into a mock-up of the fleet carrier HMS Ark Royal as it would have appeared in the 1970s.
I'll talk you through what's happening. As the pilot, his call sign is 2-3. We're due to launch a Phantom from one of the flight deck catapults, keeping the island on your right, and you'll be good and ready.
The entrance to this hall is by a simulated Wessex helicopter ride from Hall 2. The hall itself is a simulation of a section of the flight deck, where aircraft are displayed as if they are on deck. Two large screens show the takeoff and landing of aircraft.
We will be launching a Phantom, keeping the island on the right, and you'll get a great view of
Below decks to the flight deck, wings unfolded and, while we use an immensely powerful catapult. The man in charge of loading the flight deck officer, the AVIATION. He stands to the front of the aircraft, and the two men under the aircraft are his flight deck engineers. Their nickname is Badger, and you can see why, wearing his black and white wristband. He sets the tail plane to take on. The FDO signals the OK. He sets the tail plane to take
3 minutes. Looking in 1 minute.
A key aspect of the work at the museum is maintaining as much as the original fabric of the aircraft as possible. This means that these machines are a national source of reference for historians, engineers, and the museum's visitors. So now we've come to the fourth and final part of the museum. Here we can find Concorde 002, which is one of two prototypes that was used to develop the aircraft before it went into commercial production. Concorde epitomised the glamour of the transatlantic jet set during the 1970s and 80s, representing a high point in British aviation history. Built in Bristol, it was capable of flying at twice the speed of sound, Mach 2.04, or about 1,520 miles per hour. It remains one of the proudest achievements of British historic and successful aero industry. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you for joining me, and until next time, be safe, be good, be kind, and be careful.
It takes 24 hours for the world to turn once, but only 2 seconds to like or subscribe to see future content from Steve's World UK.